morning, good afternoon, and good night. Welcome to the pod where we chat, argue, and wax poetic about the shows that we love, hate, or that are simply worth talking about. All stories have something to say, and we love trying to analyze what they capture. Welcome to the Chatter After Live. We're here talking The Legend of Vox Machina, Season 2, Episodes 1 through 3. We recently talked about Vox Machina in our non-spoiler review, but we thought it'd be a good time to come together again and talk about this amazing show now that the first 3 episodes are out. First off, Brandon, my co-host, how you doing, man?
Scaling hands. I'm awesome. I'm great. I'm excited to talk some Vox Machina. No holds bar and no pants. Wait. Well, that's something Scanlon would say, so it fits.
Fair enough. Christian, welcome back, man. We can finally talk about things. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm so excited to be here. You know, we're back by popular demand. Just chatting about some Vox Machina season 2, episodes 1 through 3. Since these series are hitting a triple, I guess you get like a triple feature every single week for this kind of stuff. But thank you so much for having me back. Very excited to dig back into this. It's gonna be fun rewatching this series because it's so darn special.
Yeah, for sure. It's so much fun, especially these first 3 episodes. They go so hard. Guys, if you have not watched the premiere of The Legend of Vox Machina Season 2, just like the video, comment and say, hey, we haven't seen it yet, and come back. We'll be here when you catch up. It's going to be a fun time. Also, go watch the non-spoiler review, too, if you want. It's the same.
Figure out if it's for you or not.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a fantastic series, but let's get into it. We're going to start off with the first 3 episodes. Brandon, what are the episode titles? Because I know you had that on hand for the season premiere.
So I had it, and I forgot it. But
I have it up here if you want me to say it.
Christian, you're the real MVP.
I know the first episode 1. I think episode 1 is The Rise of the Chroma Conclave.
Yeah, and then episode 2 is The Trials of Vasselheim. Episode 3 is The Sunken Tomb.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
much happens.
So much. Let's just start with that first episode, right? Like, Christian, I know you rewatched that one very recently.
Yeah.
In that episode, we come back, right? And it's like, oh, yeah, everything's great. The king's here. We're the Legends of Vox Machina, right? We're back, baby. And I love how we pick up right where the last season ends.
Yes. Yes.
And then it all falls apart.
Yep.
That was fantastic. I wasn't able to rewatch the first season before diving into the second season, but I do remember where season 1 ended. And I was very surprised when watching episode 1 where it's just a seamless transition. Yeah. And you just see these dragons, these mighty mythical beings swoop in, and they're just wrecking house. Like they are, right. It was insane. Like I think probably one of my favorite shots outside of like the ice dragon and then the acid dragon and then the fog acid dragon and the leader of the Chroma Conclave, I forgot his name, but when he's spitting out red fire and then it's like he excels and it changes from red to blue into like a blue beamed fire, and I was like, that my first time watching it, my jaw was just to the floor. I was just like, what is going on? But it's a very, as soon as the episode starts, like it hits the ground running, start to finish. And I think I said this in our spoiler-free review. You feel the might of these dragons. You feel how powerful they are. This isn't just we're going to tell you how strong they are. Yeah, like it's so creepy, but the CGI for this, it's solid. It's very solid. It fits well with this world, and it felt like I was on Mustafar for a second because they just destroyed the capital.
Yeah. I love this episode because I for one, I binged season 1 and then got to season 2, right? And so to me, it was a big cliffhanger, but it was just the next step about all this, right? Because Um, you remember how hard it was to defeat one dragon.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
suddenly, there's four of them flying over here, and then and I think the directing of this episode, and the way they chose those shots, like the shot of King Uriel looking at the horizon, talking about the future of Taldore, right?
Yeah.
And then you suddenly see he stops talking, and he's looking in the distance, and he can see those shadows beginning to separate. And because you see a dragon, you see like the shadow of a figure, and then it just, it's four. It's four dragons. And of course, the deadliest dragon, Thordak, had to be voiced by the amazing and epic Lance Reddick. It's crazy the fact that they got Lance to do Thordak.
It
love
fits. It suits him.
that Lance is Thordak. And I just love one of the things that the show does very, very well is that they don't beat around the bush on how big the threats are. And that's something that I like about the show. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you have certain shows or certain stories that they want to save how dangerous a threat is towards the end of it or towards the middle or towards one specific moment. No. You saw how difficult it was to defeat that one dragon. Yes, 4 dragons is almost impossible. Yes, many people will lose their lives. And the idea that the only response that Vox had was to help who they could help and run away. Because that's how big the threat was. The idea that city that they fought to protect, right? And they were able to be called heroes of Taldore falls because it's just too much. It's horrible. It's crazy and amazing storytelling.
It makes for a fantastic premiere, right? Because it's doing a great job of picking up where we left off, a great job of reintroducing us to these characters, to this world. But I just love how, as soon as we thought, there was a moment of peace, they just hit you with these dragons. And I especially love how, like you were mentioning, Brandon, they set this up earlier by having them fight that one dragon last season and how difficult that was. And how that was pretty much the concept for the first 2-3 episodes of season 1 of how do we stop this dragon. And to Christian's point, now we have all these unique dragons. We have an acid dragon. Like, how do you stop them? And then
we have the avatars of dragons.
We do. I mean,
they're all masters of their own bending skill.
Yeah, for sure. And Christian, you were talking about the CG on these dragons. We did the Dragon Prince when that came back, and that's a great looking show too. But man, these so menacing, and that's probably just because, again, the age rating is way higher for Vox Machina, so they're able to make them more menacing, and put more effort into that. But just look at this. This is scary stuff.
It makes for just how, I mean, it's not even with the VFX and just like the blood red sky that just starts towering over. Like these people are fearing for their lives. We're seeing these townspeople of the capital just melt away when it comes to like the acid reflex of some of these dragons. It grosses you out, but it's like, I mean, that's real. And the ice dragon was pretty awesome too. I like he kind of like this like stubby little snout. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But every dragon was distinct, much like in House of the Dragon. They were able to bring characteristics, physical and I guess personality characteristics to those dragons. So that definitely reminds me of House of the Dragon, where you're able to differentiate, like, okay, we know what this dragon is. We know who this dragon is. It's very clear to see who's who and what is what. So that is, it's not just like, oh, here's a blue dragon. Here's like a slightly darker blue dragon. Here's like a dark teal dragon.
They were very different in their designs, like very drastically different to create that distinction, right? Yes, that was very cool.
Yeah, episode 1, it really just, like I said, it really just shows you the the threat that they have to face, but it also leaves you the question, like, how are they going to? Because these are just a ragtag group of mercenaries working together, and yeah, they took down one dragon, like Brandon said earlier, but this is like a whole different story. And Scanlan is, I mean, he's scared like throughout at least the first episode. His natural like instinct is to just run away, because he's like, we could barely take down one, what makes you think we can take down four of them? And they barely get out by the skin of their teeth, and it's frightening for sure. And also they mentioned that dragons don't like each other in this universe, so I'm trying to figure out, I can't remember if they said in the first one or not, or the first season, why the dragons don't get along, but I'm interested to see how the story goes.
Yeah. I have a feeling that it might be all you critters out there that are watching this, more about Critical Role and stuff like that. You might have the answer that I'm trying to maybe digest, but one of the most mythical features of dragons forever is that they're greedy, right? They like to haul gold for themselves. So maybe the idea of them wanting power on their own and not wanting to share what they have in terms of wealth, that might be the root of why they don't routinely get along. Because not to move too far ahead, the relationship between these dragons gets very interesting as the story moves forward, right? What was the moment for you guys that was like, okay, they're, what I mean, like they're screwed. What was the moment that you guys thought that?
Oh, as soon as they were flying over the horizon, like before they even, I was like, this is not going to end well.
Yeah.
It's like the first few shots where you like the king's like, oh no, and it's, I mean, they're defenseless. Like they weren't anticipating this.
Right.
Like as soon as that came, I was like, oh, I was like, I can see where this is about to go, and it's just like a welcome back to Vox Machina, like where it's you have these characters. Yes, they are powered in their own way. They have their own skills and abilities, but they have their limits, and the show is not afraid to exploit that. Sometimes even like the best character or the best player in this world is gonna just get by the skin of their teeth, and I think that's what episode 1 did so beautifully. It's just, hey, it's literally just it's Game of Thrones. Nobody is safe unless you're the main character. Obviously we know they're gonna make it, but
I mean,
it was still scary to see, kind of sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, Percy got a little some sunburn there for a bit. I was like, ooh.
Now,
Percy,
Mike, same question, Mike. What was it the same moment? Was there a different moment? Because to me I felt the fear at the beginning, but there was one moment that for me was like, okay, this is really bad. Was there a moment for you?
Well, I think it's probably a mix between you and Christian, right? Because I love how they set up again how long and hard it took for them to figure out how to beat the one dragon. So when you see a group of them coming, you do know that they're screwed. But for me, it didn't hit until Uriel's death, right? Where it's just like, oh yeah, we are royally screwed. Okay, like I thought we were gonna have some trouble here. It was like, oh, okay, so like important people are dying now. This is very, very bad.
The beginning of the season, okay.
so for me, what made me go, okay, this is really bad, is when Gilmore's in trouble. Like the fact that they go to the shop, right? The guy that has all the answers, right? That has all the equipment, that has all the tools, right? To vanquish whatever. Because of his information, they were able to defeat the first dragon, right?
Yeah.
And this guy's barely keeping it together. Like, he's like trying to survive. Like, the shop is destroyed. He's like, he can barely walk. Like, when I saw that, I was like, okay, this is bad. Like, bad. Like it to me, because it's so funny because throughout the entire first season, apart from the fact that he's constantly hitting on Vexeldan, he is helping them do the crazy things that they can do, right? So I like how he's no longer a scapegoat. I like how that kind of sets the tone for the show moving forward because he's no longer the one that's going to allow them to beat the enemy. They have to look beyond that. So it kind of creates the opportunity for exploring things even further, which then sets the stage for everything that happens after.
Yeah.
So to me, that was the one where like, shit.
It's very much reminiscent of God of War 2018 to God of War Ragnarok, right? Where Gilmore is like Brock and Sindri, where they have the answers, they have the tools to help you. But once we move to Ragnarok, they are now just characters in the story. They're not just they're not the video game
suffering
NPCs,
just like
right?
anybody else.
Right. They actually are being affected by what's going on. They're not just sitting there like, you need me to fix your blades of chaos again, you know? And so that's what I felt with Gilmore, where it's like, oh yeah, okay, you're a character now, aren't you? You've got urgency, you've got problems and motivations and fear now because
like
you have no idea what's
status gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's completely gone. That's definitely interesting. Episode 1 was such a fantastic reintroduction to this world, and I love Vox Machina because they introduce so many characters, right? So many different locations, so many different like power types, but they always make it easy to follow, and it's not, too hard to keep up with. Because you got to remember, this is like episode 13 of the series, right? So there's so much that we've learned thus far. Even getting new characters this season, right? We've got Zura and Kasha, right? I think are their names.
Right. Yeah.
We've got these two new characters that were introduced. And I just thought it was fascinating because by being introduced to these two, we learn more about Vex and Vax as well, because they do have a history. And so that's just showing that even the characters that we do know and we do feel like we're familiar with, there's a whole other layer to them that we don't know. And I thought these first 3 episodes did a great job as kind of leading us into more of Vex and Vax specifically and their backstory. What were your guys' thoughts on that?
So for the Vex and Vax backstory, much like, for season 1, it focused on our little buddy, Pike, and Percy, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
And for this season, it focused, Vex and Vax, and there's a few other characters they focus on, but we're not there yet.
We got a little bit.
I had to like, because
we have a little bit of that. I have a little bit of that on episode 2.
Yeah, a little bit, but like I was like, wait, only the first 3 episodes are out. But yeah, for Vex and Vax, I absolutely love how we're getting to spend time with each of these characters, especially. And when it comes to Vex and Vax, like the relationship between twins is so different from just like a I guess you could say a traditional standard like brother and sister relationship, because they came into this world together, and from the very beginning it's them two, and they had to depend on each other. They are very codependent, but I do love how we get into their past with their relationship with their family and whatnot. I'm trying to figure out exactly what happened in episode 2 and 3. I don't want to say anything too far out, but I enjoyed it a lot. And you find out how much they need each other, because I thought it was one way when it came to who needed who, but then it turned out to be another way. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. This makes more sense. But yeah, I don't want to say too much because I can't I didn't get a chance to rewatch episode 2 and 3 before this. I do apologize, but
you're fine.
Yeah.
You watched all of them, so you at least do know what's going on.
Oh, for sure. I just for everyone out there who has, for all, people are watching it weekly, since we were screeners, it's, I didn't want to be too careful.
You're good. But just to piggy off of that, I really do like what you were saying, right? About you think the relationship is one way, but actually it's a little different than you may have realized in that codependency that they have with each other. It was literally them versus the world, right? Yeah. And so it's so fascinating seeing the breakdown of that and finally getting understanding, because last season was very much about Percy and his family and his sister. And
Loved
so
it.
it was great, and I really love how now we're starting to spread the love a little bit, and we're learning about all these other characters, because even Pike, we still don't know a ton about Pike.
No, it was more about her, I guess you could say her spiritual journey with her faith, her religion, I guess, or
Right.
So that was really the focus with Pike in season 1, but we do see
Elliot,
different
the Everlight.
aspects. Yeah. Oh my god. I when we talk about it, we'll talk about it. I was bawling my eyes, but
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Brandon, what about you?
So I love episode 2 a lot, because, and what they've done with Vex and Vax, I love that they're setting the seeds of the characters that we're going to explore. Because, of course, episode 1 was all about setting the stakes, right? That's really what it was, and also introducing how these characters need to level up to be able to face the threat, right? That is the Chroma Conclave. So the first thing we see is Keyleth using that tree transport ability, which I found super interesting. But I love that as soon as they introduce the ability, they introduce the cost with it. I can only do this once a day. I cannot do it all the time. So I love that there's this very deliberate way of setting up stakes and costs, right? Because that's going to be a running theme through the season, right? So I love the whole thing about how you get a little bit of Vax's backstory, that of course they rub people the wrong way, and that's how they make it to like where they're, in the Bounty Hunters Lodge or whatever at Vasselheim. Vasselheim is the name of the place, right?
yes.
So I love how they were able to raid Gilmore's stash when it was being destroyed.
Literally.
Yeah.
So now Vex has a freaking broom, which is freaking hilarious. And the way that she actually wins it from Scanlan is just so great. I love the interaction.
Yes.
I love the different pairings of characters. That's what I love the most, right? That we get different relationships, stuff like that. But I love everything going on with Grog. And I like the fact that they're setting the stage that, yes, we're going to explore Vax'Uldan and Vex'ahlia, but we're also going to go into Grog. Grog and his strength, and what brings him strength, what makes Grog the great warrior he is. I love the fact that we're going to try and deconstruct that this season. And of course, out of nowhere, in this town, there's a freaking Kung Fu master that is a lot shorter and simpler than Grog, but he's able to kick Grog's ass because apparently Grog doesn't understand himself as much as he thinks he does. So I love how that's setting a stage. I love how they've kind of been playing with the idea of the sword and what the sword does to him after he got it from the Blackwoods.
Yeah.
So I like that thematic element there, which is going to be very interesting. So I really like that about the episode. But also I love how we met the threat, right? So
Yes.
now we're meeting the elements of the journey. This is how you level up. It's not just by gaining experience points. It's not just by defeating villains. It's by going through a journey. At the end of the journey, do you get the element? Do you get the equipment? Do you get what you need? Yes. But what really matters is the journey, because that's the thing about role-playing games, right? Like, which I
Yes.
love how they organically mix all those elements into the episode. Because I love the idea that is these legendary weapons. It's like, it's like the Power Rangers, right? They got to find the Zords. And once they find the Zords, they can make the Megazord.
Yeah.
But yeah, I found that idea of lore very interesting, how it ties in directly to episode 3, because we're trying to find the first, what is it? The vestige of divergence? Is that what they're called?
Yeah. The vestiges.
The vestiges of divergence. So I do like that presentation.
Yes.
Because, and again, as we find out in episode 3, gaining a power, there's a cost to it. And I don't know. Love it.
Yeah.
Love character work.
Oh, it's fantastic. Like, absolutely. But yeah, I'm adoring the season so far. When it comes, I keep saying season one. I meant to say episode. I do apologize. It's been a long day, but yeah, the first two. I mean, it usually when it comes to binging these shows, and I like how Prime Video or Amazon. Is it Amazon Video or is it Prime Video? Because I hear
Prime Video.
both.
The
Prime Video.
email says, "Do not say Amazon Prime." It says Prime Video. That's an instruction from the studio.
Well, you know what? Okay, I got you. So
Give me
Video.
Bezos.
he's gonna cancel all of my current thing. Yeah, I got a Steam Deck coming in.
You're not getting your hair gel today.
We're gonna start charging you for shipping.
No overnight oats for you.
Oh man.
But yeah, for Prime Video, I do adore how they are releasing 3 episodes per, because typically if a TV show, let's just say like an episode of Stranger Things, like we all love Stranger Things, but sometimes it does take a few episodes to get back into the swing of things. And I think around the binging model, I think it's around the 3rd episode, and some people figure out whether they are in for the long haul or not. Or it takes about 3 episodes to really get into a TV show, because you're trying to figure out what's going on, who the characters are, what the main plot is. And with Vox Machina, I mean, although I think they've done a fantastic job hitting the ground running for episode 1 for season 2, but for newcomers, like especially when it hits episode 3, like we thought all the craziness was not done and over with, but the craziness comes back around with some unexpected twists and turns for episode 3 with a sunken tomb. And I was flabbergasted when I can't say it.
Let's go to episode 3.
It's too heartbroken, but for me at least, because it goes back to Vex and Vex. I'm not sure if we're going to be giving up those kind of spoilers, but
Well, it's within the episode, so I think we can
Yeah.
definitely do it.
Episode 3.
We can't talk about what happens in episode 4, but we can talk about what happens in
episode 3. Yeah, because sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say episode 3. Like this is when the journey really begins, right? We
Yeah.
are on our way to the Matron's Temple, and it's a fantastic journey getting there. I really love the build up. I really love the unexpected team ups too, along the way.
Mhm.
And then when we get in there, it's what I love about that moment that you're alluding to, Christian. We're just going to dive right in. What I love about that moment is the buildup, right? Because there is none. It just happens suddenly, and it's shocking, and it's heartbreaking. And that's why I think it's so effective. Going back to some other shows that are currently airing, when a character death happens, there is buildup. There is...
Right.
Mhm.
a big to do about it happening. With this, it just, you blink and you miss it. It's like, wait, what?
Oh,
what
absolutely. Yeah. And like, you have no clue what happened. Cause I was like, did that just happen? Like, and I was, okay, yeah, it did. And I was like, wow, this like, and it
everybody
wasn't
goes like
like, they were seriously injured. They died.
Yep.
So,
like legit.
DED.
Jon Snow dead.
Well, actually, that's a very good parallel.
Brandon, break this down. What were your thoughts on episode 3 and the whole Vexalia?
First of all, I love the dungeon crawling.
Yeah.
Right? Like something that we never really got in season 1, which is another aspect of exploring a role-playing world, right? Or a mystical or fantasy world. Like, I love what I like most about episode 3, before you go to the moment of what happens to Vexalia, right? I love how lived in the world feels, and how legitimate the lore feels. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like it came out of nowhere. Like, everything points to, like, no, there's this cult of people that serve the matron. Then, like, you have all these little bits and pieces. You see the chapel or whatever not the chapel, the
Chapel?
you see the house of the matron of death in Vasselheim. Like, you have this long history of everything going on here. So when you're exploring it, of course, you have goosebumps. You're looking at everything, and it's very Indiana Jones like, and it's like any other roguelike dungeon crawler video game, because you know that every chamber is gonna have something, and if you touch the wrong thing, if you do the wrong thing, and it's funny because you mentioned that there's no buildup. And that's true because it just occurs. But the buildup is subliminal because they've been telling you from the beginning, there's a lot of traps here. Like, everybody should be careful.
I'm pretty sure Vax even makes a point to be like, I'm going to go scout and look for traps. And then he's, separated.
Yep. And then Percy.
And that's when it happens.
Has to be extra curious. And we all know that, Vex kind of fancies Percy, so she goes along with it, right? Not because of that, because I'm not diminishing Vexalia, but they have this play off of each other constantly, right?
Yeah.
And after, and you see a lot of that also towards the end of season 1, and then when this happens, because they find the armor, finding the vestige cost a member of Vox their life, and that's like, holy crap! I think all of us went like, what? No. And it's funny, Mike, because if you remember, you shared with us the clip of the actual Critical Role campaign where this happens.
Yes.
Because of the beauty of how Dungeons and Dragons works, the dungeon master knows the results of every story, and the players know how many hit points they have. So when this happened, and the dungeon master says how much damage this particular trap causes, they are surprised to find out. Vexalia is surprised to find out that she's below 0.
Yeah. Laura Bailey's reaction is so heartbreak. Like, they're not acting in these things at all. And so when she's sunken in, she's like, oh, that hurts, man.
Yeah. Because it's a character that you've been building, right? It's a character that you've been creating and constantly enjoy portraying. In her case, in the case of all these people, right? In guys and gals in Critical Role, what makes it so amazing is the fact that not only are they creating and developing the character, they're playing the character out. So it's like a dual identity. It's like a double-edged way of embracing a character in a performance, right? Because they're doing it twice. They're playing with it, but also performing it. So I could only imagine us seeing it, because we've grown very fond of Vexalia. And we're starting, like Christian said before, we're starting to get into the backstory of Vex and Vax. And then this freaking happens.
And then it makes you realize, like an anime, every time somebody gets a backstory episode, something bad is about to happen.
R.I.P. Neji. Every time.
Freaking
every time.
We didn't need to know about pain, damn it.
Once you start giving
but
us
I did
all
need
this
to know
lore,
how.
Yeah,
but I need to know
who Nagato is.
I need to know some idea of what loss is.
Yes, and then I found out what loss is. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot, but it's so well done though. And I love how the when the credits roll. Oh, by the way, did you guys notice that? So on most episodes, right, when the credit rolls, you get the theme song. And
also the storyboards.
Yeah, right.
As you're playing through the credits, that's pretty awesome.
In this one, it's like almost no music. Like, it just lets it sink in. And the fact that everybody is left feeling that way till next Friday, it's like
you're
left
empty.
And this is why weekly releases work.
Yes.
No, but seriously, like, that is a perfect cliffhanger, right? Because it's just like, especially, this is, you were mentioning before, Christian, I love how Prime Video handles it, right? Because they give you enough to chew on. They give you those 3 episodes, right? They're like, here's like 60 minutes of Vox Machina. And then they're just like, yeah, but the one we leave you on, you're gonna come back and want more. Yep. And it's like,
And that's how TV shows are. And they were talking about that in The Last of Us for the first episode for the series, where the series was supposed, or the first episode was supposed to end a little bit earlier. But the executives at HBO was like, hey, like, it's a good first episode, but there's nothing about the first episode at the time for The Last of Us that makes the viewer want to tune in next week.
Right.
Yes. And that's how you do it.
There has to be, you need that next time on Dragon Ball Z. Like, you need that little voiceover and that intensity. And you definitely have it here. And it's perfect because in this particular 3-episode chunk, right? You get reintroduced to the world, you get reintroduced to the characters, you get reintroduced to new threats. You get a little bit of time with all the characters, and then tragedy strikes.
Yeah.
So it's like as just as you're getting reacquainted with Vox,
it's literally, you know, life just happens, and there's like obviously there was an explanation for this one, but life just happens, and you're just like, I was not expecting that. And it's like, yeah, I wasn't expecting it either. I was like, oh yeah, no one from this main cast is gonna die maybe until like the end of like the actual series, and then they just hit us at the end of, you know, episode 3 season 2, and I love it. Like I know there's a lot of fans of this show out there, clearly, because it's getting second season. It has a second season, and hopefully we get a third and many more, because I absolutely love these characters. But I wish Prime Video would like push this more, because between this and Invincible, honestly, some of the best animated like shows I've seen in a long time, if I'm being completely honest. I know there's like the Dragon Age show on Netflix. I haven't watched it, but I guess the art style is similar to Vox Machina, but I feel like that's just like the standard. Like, it's not necessarily an anime, you know, it's anime. It's kind of like Avatar, but it's kind of like, I think the new 52 DC did this for a while, like especially with like Flashpoint. So it reminds me of that. But yeah, I just want Amazon to, you know, just market the crap out of it, because these are amazing characters with amazing backgrounds, and just the world that they live in feels so real, and the concept is amazing. You know, it's by Critical Role. They're playing as their own characters, which makes them, you know, feel a deeper connection and understanding to these characters as well.
And you can tell.
Yeah, you really can. Like, clear, it's not for kids, but
definitely not.
People aren't hate watching like they are with Velma, but we interrupt this your hate watching of Velma to bring you Vox Machina.
So it's funny that you mentioned about hopefully getting a season 3 and hopefully getting more of Vox, and it's interesting because recently Scanlan himself put a post on Twitter. I'm trying to find it.
We also need those physical media. I'm just saying.
While you look for that, Brandon, we'll just keep on talking. Yeah, Christian, you're totally right. Marketing, it's a problem when it comes to streaming. Like, Stranger Things, I hardly got any. Yeah, but it's like, for Netflix standards, it was everywhere. I still could have seen more marketing. Like, true. I'm on TikTok, and every other scroll, I get a Last of Us trailer.
Dude, it is everywhere, and it's not a bad thing, because HBO did the same thing with House of the Dragon. They're like, hey, Game of Thrones is back, Game of Thrones is back, Game of Thrones is back. And you're right. It's like, I'm scrolling through Instagram and just boop, or even just on YouTube. Like, I mean, I don't have YouTube. I'm not fancy. I don't have YouTube Premium, but it's, you know, like how sometimes you're watching a video and then it's like, yeah, I kind of already saw this part. You want to skip ahead like a minute, and then boom, an ad comes up, and it's The Last of Us. It's everywhere.
Yeah, every single time. And it's like Vox Machina. I'm not saying it should get the same ad campaign as The Last of Us, because like The Last of Us budget, like, oh my gosh, they said it costs just as much, if not more, than House of the Dragon, which is insane.
I think it was more than House of the Dragon. Yeah,
what was that?
Wild.
Come again?
For The Last of Us, their budget was bigger than House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised, but it
One's
is
got
paying off in
dragged,
spades.
man.
Prosthetics, though, I mean, that stuff's expensive.
Yeah,
But yeah.
yeah.
And
But-
shooting on location, because they were in Canada for like a year shooting all that.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wish the other services put out more advertising just so you know it exists. Because I only know this show existed because Prime Video sent me screeners for it. But if I was not here reviewing stuff and talking about it, I don't know when I would have heard of it. Maybe on Twitter, maybe from Christian because he watched it. But that's
And
about
I
it,
can't
right?
for the life of me remember how it might have been when I got the screeners for the first season. I can't remember for the life of me how I was introduced. I know nobody told me about it, but yeah, I can't remember what it might. I might have seen an ad. It was only like a year ago. It's like, gosh, a year feels like 10 now after 2020. But yeah,
I know I
can't
saw
remember.
it in ads in Prime Video,
Mhm.
but I never paid attention to it because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of angry at myself.
Or
that
it's
I
like
didn't watch it
if you don't
sooner.
watch Critical Role, you wouldn't know. Because I mean, we
Right.
don't watch Critical Role, so we were kind of left in the dark. But yeah, I agree, Mike. When it comes to marketing for streaming, it's always so different. I mean, for movies, they always play in front of, you get 30 minutes of trailers when you go to AMC for some reason.
and
but
Nicole Kidman.
and she and I'm just like, the 30 minutes are over. I'm ready to watch the movie, and then I gotta sit there. Like,
But
it's fine.
Christian, heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
Listen, start these movies on time. It's getting out of hand. But yeah, I wish they would push this as much as they do. I mean,
Yeah.
my friend who plays D&D, he's heard about it because he watches Critical Role. I think he watched the first season so far, I believe so. But all of his other buddies, I'm pretty sure they've heard of it as well. But yeah, it's just such a great show. And like, the years just began. We have Vox Machina season 2, we have The Last of Us, and we have Velma. Yes, I said it. We have Velma. But hey, to each their own for that. Everyone out there can continue hate watching, and then yeah, that's how season 2 works. But I mean, even look at it's so beautiful. Like, you feel so connected to these characters. Like, Keyleth is basically the Avatar, and I absolutely love her journey. Like,
yes,
through this season, she's one of my favorite because she's very reserved and just, she's unsure of herself. But when when it comes down to the wire, like, she pulls through, and you're gonna see a lot of that in season 2 because she
fire.
But yeah, she's definitely one of, like, I love every single one of these characters. It's so hard to pick a favorites.
Yeah.
But I guess the one I gravitate more towards probably would be Pike, just because, I mean, it's Ashley Johnson. It's Ellie from The Last of Us. And like, every time I hear her voice, it's like, and that's just the way she talks. She doesn't, alter her voice to like sound like Ellie.
Are you okay, buddies?
Hang on there, buddies.
Love it.
So it's just like, you close your eyes and it's like, that's Ellie. it's just the voice of Ellie. But yeah, that's just my association with her voice type. But phenomenal work by everyone.
Yep.
Like, they know their characters through and through, and I absolutely love it. I'm sorry, that was a tangent.
No, it's a good tangent.
But put these on Blu-ray, Amazon Prime Video. Yeah, do it.
Yes, please, buddies.
But apparently Amazon likes Critical Role and likes how many people are reacting to it, because they just inked a deal for an overall TV and first look film deal they greenlit another Critical Role campaign. Because the way I understand it, and I might be wrong, Critters, you guys are the expert, not us. Please let us know. Inform us. Teach us. I think Vox Machina is just the first campaign that they've done with Critical Role. I think they've done 3 so far. or they're doing 3 as we speak, or they're going into 4. I don't know. But the whole thing with Tal'Dorei and Vox Machina is campaign 1 of Critical Role. Mighty Nine, I believe it's another campaign of Critical Role. So
is it going to be the same characters or is it different?
No. I think it's a complete set of characters. So for every campaign, in my understanding, which it's pretty common, I think, in D&D, for every campaign, every new campaign that they do, they'll create new characters for themselves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I was watching one for the one that I was showing you guys before off the air. That's the first episode of campaign 3, and I started watching a little bit and they're all doing new characters. So
we've got a trailer or a first look if you guys want to see it.
Show it.
Yeah.
Show it.
Yeah, I believe my friend who plays D&D, it's like every new campaign is a different character. He has like
so we're gonna see. So in other words, Vox Machina will continue to go until that campaign is done. But now they're already working on this new campaign. That's Mighty Nine. Woohoo!
Yeah. So, benefit of being here live, guys. I love how this news broke like hours before we went live. Like, Can you imagine if this happened tomorrow and we missed it? That would have sucked.
Okay, that's journalism for you.
But yeah, here is our first look at Mighty Nine.
I'm asking you to open your heart to chaos.
I'm either very unlucky or cursed, and I don't believe in luck.
I am your god. Long may I reign.
I want to unlock these mysteries. I want to dive as deep as I can into that ocean of the unknown.
I am of the Empire, but I am no friend to the Empire.
I protect him. He's my boy, and I keep him safe.
You need me more than I need you.
We may be heroes that no one knows about.
Mighty Nine, all new original series coming to Prime Video.
Bruh.
Holy shit.
Bruh.
Oop.
Bruh. That's what I'm talking about. Yes.
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 I appreciate self-censorship, Christian.
Hey, Christian, can you censor me for 2 seconds? Go.
I can only do it on my own.
No, but just play it. I'll just.
Okay. So. I'm not sure how people are gonna.
Well done. That was so.
I love that intro. So that's a new. Oh, now I'm even more excited.
Yeah,
I love
the
how
character
experimental
designs,
Prime Video
Yeah.
is. I love how experimental they are. They're not afraid to take risks. They have a vast assortment of things. And
no, and it sounds like they're all playing different types of characters. So we're not going to see Ashley Johnson playing the same character like Pike. Like,
are we sure? Are we sure this right here?
There she is.
But who knows? That might be someone different. So
someone's got a long spear or some kind of staff.
Ooh.
Is that Aang?
Nah, the build is more core.
Yep.
If anything.
Yep.
See, now we have to keep an eye on those for this, because the fact that we got a great. I mean, I don't know how I know that one of our listeners that talked about that requested that we do a spoiler review. Which, by the way, thank you for requesting it, because we love talking about it. Thank you, Thea. I think you mentioned that all this started as a Kickstarter. So once the money was picked up with Kickstarter, I don't know how long it took to produce it and put it out there, but the fact that we had a great turnaround with season 2, I wonder how quickly we'll get. I mean, is it going to be the same studio, right? It's going to be the same animation studio.
Look at Invincible, because I think they did Invincible season 2 and 3 back to back, if I'm not mistaken.
They're doing them back to back, yeah.
So, I mean, and that came out, was it 2020? 2019?
It came out during
2021.
the pandemic, I think. So it's probably.
I think it was 2021.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. So and Vox Machina already has a second season. It's only been out a year. I mean, this is the second year that we're getting it. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
So that Kickstarter, I've got the comment here. Great job again. We appreciate you all watching. $11 million? Was that a typo? Or was it really that much for a Kickstarter? Like, oh my gosh.
I mean,
Well, you got to figure Critical Role has been huge for years.
that
Yeah.
too. And
So-
the amount of money that all these other people have done with other projects.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
They got that LA money.
Yeah, no.
That's that Abby money.
That's that Last of Us money.
That's
They just poured it all in.
That's
the spiritual
why-
successor.
That's why this show looks so good, huh? Because, like,
Yeah.
no disrespect to our guy, Mark Grayson. I love Invincible, but animation in season 1 was kind of spotty. Vox never had that issue, so it's like, yeah.
Looks really good for season 2, though, for
Invincible?
Invincible, yeah.
Yeah, that teaser we got, a lot of people were upset because they wanted more footage. I'm just sitting here being the animation nerd that I am, like, this looks really good, though.
It looks
The animation is
kind of
crisp.
like, it kind of looks like Spider-Verse-esque almost, like that,
Like
and it's
the
like
way
it's
the
kind of like
images
your
pop.
brain's kind of putting the like missing, frames together.
Mhm.
Because like the first time I saw Spider-Verse, I loved it, but it was like it looked choppy. But then the more times I watch it, it's so fluid in my brain now because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like starting to connect the dots. So I don't know, but yeah, it looks really good. But I mean, yeah, for Vox Machina season 2, looks just as good, if not better, especially with episode 1. It's just everything. It's just
Yes.
wow. But yeah, Prime Video, start pushing it out there because you got 3 people here who don't play D&D who are able to find this show, which is great. But we're all like movie reviewers, critics, however you want to put
We
it.
may not play it, but we're perfectly happy watching others play. It's like a sport, damn it.
No, yeah,
Very true.
I go to my friend's campaign all the time, and I played a few times. It's just I don't know. I could never really get into it. I think the DM is amazing, but I don't know if I think my imagination is just really crappy because
Do the thinking for us, please.
it's like
We love the story you're telling. Keep going.
Skyrim.
But yeah, can we just like acknowledge how rare this is, right? Because this is just a bunch of creators
Yeah,
getting together and creating magic. Like the fact that this was
Literally.
just somebody's literally, right? This was just someone's D&D campaign.
yeah,
And it's one of the best fantasy shows of the last few years. It's
absolutely.
And it's new content, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're not ripping off anything from
Original
anybody.
content. Yeah,
Like they're creating this world.
I guess you could say it's based on a D&D campaign, but it's like it's their own stuff. So
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's Critical
Which is the-
Role.
which
It's
is
their
the beauty.
stuff.
yeah,
Which is the beauty of D&D. Like D&D is just the resources.
Yeah.
Or at
Yeah.
least the base inspiration. Everything else is them. And that's the beauty of it. That's
Oh,
like-
yeah.
I think as creators ourselves, right? That's like the other side of the argument because we're enjoying it like, wow, this is possible.
spectators. Yeah.
Yeah.
And hey, I mean, it's blood, sweat, and tears. I was so excited. Like, I didn't know it got a season 2 because I was waiting. I was like, when is this coming out? I couldn't find any information. And then Mike's like, hey, did you get screened for Vox Machina season? Well, you asked me who's seen it. And I was like, I've seen it. And they're like, oh, you want to do season 2? I'm like, there's a second season? Like, I got
He's like,
no
this is
press
the third of it.
email, nothing. But job well done so far. I'm excited for people to just watch it every single week and just be, amazed and enthralled all over again. Cause we don't get stuff like this very often, which is why it should come to Blu-ray.
Pushing that agenda, Christian. I appreciate the hustle.
I'm going to say, if you guys love us covering Vox and you want to keep us happy, and then you want us to keep covering Vox, let us know. We'll make that happen.
We definitely will make it happen because I love talking about it. And like each few episodes, we finally you can see we get to open up a little bit more, a little bit more because things we can't talk about in the non-spoiler stuff. There's even things that we already know that we can't tell you guys because You guys have like 9 more episodes to go before you reach the end of the season.
Seriously, yeah, it's a solid 12 episodes. Like for animation, I think that is perfect. You know, each of these are they're like a full 25 minutes. It feels like, you know, I mean, the credits aren't super long. It's not the Marvel effect where it's like, oh yeah, it's an hour runtime, but like really 15 minutes of it is like the credits. So it's really 45 or even less sometimes. But yeah, just job well done by everyone at Critical Role. I thank you, honestly. That's all I can say. Because it's great stuff. Keep the fantasy content coming because I've been missing it for a while.
Just eating it up. Can't wait to see Mighty Nine. Can't wait to see what's next up for the crew at Vox Machina. Was there anything else you guys wanted to hit and cover before we call this a show?
No, I think I'm all good.
I'm good. We need to come back whenever we figure out what happens with Vex.
I'm Vex.
Yes.
Vex.
God love friends. Guys, it's been an honor being here with you all today. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like and subscribe. And like Brandon was saying, let us know in the comments if you want us to keep talking Legend of Vox Machina. If there's any other hidden gems that we need to know about, because again, we just stumbled across this series. If there's anything you think we'd be interested in or should check out, let us know in the comments down below. Christian, thank you for joining us again, man. It's always great talking to you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. No. So you can find me over at Film Optics on Twitter, like below. That is the name of our movie and TV podcast. It is audio only, so we are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all that, all the podcast platforms out there. We ourselves have been covering The Last of Us weekly, so definitely check out our first 2 episodes where Mike was so kind to join us, and hopefully will be joining us for future episodes as the weeks go on. And you can definitely check out our spoiler-free review of that 90s show that I covered with AMX NDA Reviews, aka Amanda. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, again, you can find us on every podcast platform out there. It's been a long day, guys. I'm sorry, but thank you again for having me on. You know, we're starting our stuff and for the year, and it's slowly but surely getting there. You know, it's still only January, but make sure to do your taxes, people. Mind your business, do your taxes, and watch Legend of Vox Machina season 2.
And keep Will Smith's wife's name
out your mouth.
God, I love Eddie Murphy so much.
Yo, he's so good.
He's so good. He delivered that so amazingly. It just came out of nowhere.
3 things: mind your business, pay your taxes.
Mind your business.
Mind your business. And keep
Will's.
So good.
Oh man, Brandon, what we got coming up here on the channel and everywhere else?
So you can find us every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. talking The Last of Us. We cover the latest episode of Last of Us on HBO on our show Beyond the Clickers. So make sure to join us and seek the shadow with us as we go beyond the clickers on the episode and deep dive on that. We recently did an interview with the creator and writer and artist of the new comic by IDW called Breath of Shadows. Great horror book. We had a great conversation with them. That will be coming live on the channel very soon. Hope you check it out, and check out Breath of Shadows coming out February 1st. And you can find me at Twitter at ScarletFan52. And you can find me at the Amateur Otaku Podcast talking anime live every Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This week, we're talking Vinland Saga and the Crunchyroll Anime Awards. So, exciting stuff.
Yes. So much fun stuff in the world of anime. So much fun stuff in the world of fantasy and TV in general. Guys, we'll see you in the next one. Have it awesome. Till next time. Keep streaming movies, TV. Peace.
Not Amazon, Prime.
Prime.